Guidance Program at ForumIAS.
In this, I would again like to thank ForumIAS.
ForumIAS.
With the MGP course,
the time taken to evaluate the copies is relatively less.
MGP program.
First major benefit of such a test series is that you have a schedule in hand.
Forum for IAS.
Forum as being a good test series.
Yes, good morning everyone. So how have the monsoon showers been in your area? How is the rains? The rain is all good? Rain is high? Very good. What have we been discussing in the previous class? Attitude? Attitude towards women, all right. So we discussed that how discrimination against women happens. These discriminations are based on certain cognitive components, certain cognitive component or certain belief about women. If we try to see some certain belief about women, then certain beliefs will be that they are, for example, physically weaker, biologically, let's say inferior, childbearing and rearing is their function. And childbearing and rearing is a function. Other beliefs that we have is that women marriages are expensive, isn't it? So there is the false binary of either spend on her education or spend on her marriage. So a lot of time women in our country have to face this question, ki beta, we have limited resources. We can spend that in your marriage or we can spend it on your education. You choose. Isn't it? A choice that a lot of women in this country have to make, that the financial resources allocated for. So these cognitive components, this is something that we know. And if we are able to debunk these myths, if we are able to somehow debunk these myths, then we will be able to probably fight attitudinal change towards women. Let us take the first factor itself. See, physically weaker. Physically weaker. So first is that there is no studies that clearly establishes that physical strength is dependent on the gender. It is not dependent on that. Physical capabilities are not dependent on gender. Physical strength may be dependent on the genetic makeup and the geography to some extent. But more than that, what debunks this myth is that in modern times, when we are living in what age? Machine age. Machine age. Physical labor has been given out to whom? To machines. So therefore, there is no need of physical work to be done. So therefore, even if the belief exists that physically they are less stronger than men, they are weaker than men, the very myth that physical labor is the age of wars fought by men is over. It is to be fought by machines and technology. So therefore, women are no unique disadvantages to a society than men. Women are of no unique disadvantage to the society or a tribe or a group than a man. Yes. To some extent, you can argue, at best you can argue that not all it is not conclusive. We cannot conclusively say that all men are stronger than women, nor are all women stronger than men. Yes, so we would not say that it is directly correlated, directly completely dependent, or gender is not the sole factor that will decide the, you can put it like that, gender is not the sole factor which decides physical capabilities. Second, physical capabilities are no longer the determining factor. Physical capabilities are no longer the determining factor to the contribution that one can make to the society. So therefore, physical, and then it is age of wars, there is use of technology. There is use of, so therefore, then with respect to biological inferiority, with respect to are they biological inferior, this is coming from primary two factors say that women are biologically inferior. One is this region itself, the childbearing role that women have to do, that biology, that nature has assigned to her. All right. So this is primary coming from that, isn't it? So therefore, while childbearing is a biological function given to them, we can argue that child rearing or bringing the child is a social function assigned to women. And what needs to be changed? This myth needs to be debunked that child rearing exclusively belongs to the women. In presence of enabling legislation such as paternity relief, in presence of enabling legislation such as paternity relief for men, and do away with these inequalities that exist. Is a biological function, so that is not taken away. Okay. Secondly, what is the big answer to the child bearing function taken away from women? Technology, test tube babies. So that will be the answer 20 years from now. That change will make. But as of now, yes, child bearing is restricted to women, but child rearing is not. You can also argue that, so he's saying that because she can give birth to a life, so she is biologically superior. But why sometimes he is considered biologically inferior is because that will require her absence from work or from important affairs. See, one of the arguments that is given is why there are less successful politicians. Why there are less women who are successful politicians. We've discussed this idea. That some thinkers argue, or the theory of natural selection is sometimes at play. Think of it. Think, why do you see less number of women politicians who are at helm of power? Is the reason. So sometimes some evolutionary biologists, they argue that this has to do with how natural selection works out. One idea is that you think of, I've given you the example of sheep. How did the sheep come to be so meek? You have seen sheep, they walk in a straight line, their head down, and it is easy for the shepherd to put them or carry, they are able to be controlled. So sometimes it is said, why have sheep become like that? Were they naturally like that? That they are meek, they listen to the shepherd. No, that's not the case. Then why have they become like that? That is because the sheep that does not obey is likely to be killed for meat by the owner. Isn't it? So therefore, over which sheep is likely to survive the longest? The sheep that is obedient, the sheep that is meekest. All right. So therefore, when it is going to survive, it is going to pass on the genetic makeup to the future generation. It is going to have offsprings. So some evolutionary biologists give this paradigm to anthropology also. Okay, so just understand. So they will be having children, and therefore they are likely to be more obedient, less troublesome for the shepherd. They are likely to be meeker. And over a period of thousands of years, they will become, as we see them, right? As we see them, highly domesticated. So that is highly domesticated. And the sheep that are likely to be more playful, they are likely to be more revolutionaries in their group, they are likely to be culled for meat. And therefore, their genes will terminate there. So they are likely to produce, not likely to pass on those genes to the offspring. So this is often quoted in the field of anthropology or human studies and social studies, that with women, one reason is given that why there are not so many women in politics or not so successful. And you can sometimes see it. See, one of the functions that nature has given to women, that is the burden of bearing the child. So therefore, when the minute of burden of bearing the child comes or giving life, it will require her absence from work. Let us imagine that in a society, a woman is the leader of the tribe. So to be the leader of the tribe, what do you need to have? We have done in first class itself, that you do not need to be the physically strongest one to be the leader of the tribe. To be, what should you be good at? Politics. That is, see, wisdom is a normative value, which means they should be wise. But ideally, who becomes the leader of the tribe in any country? The one who is successful at politics, right? The one who is successful at politics. So therefore, she will have to step away from politics for the duration when she will be needing to bear the child. And in this vacuum, what will be need? Whatever ideas I'm discussing, they are not alone restricted to ethics. Essay aayega to likhna usko, samajho thoda. So when this will require her absence from, because she has to bear a child, absence from politics or from statecraft, there are not many women. For example, what was the famous matriarchal leader in Bahubali? What was the name? Shivgamini Devi, right? Bearing her 2 children. Bearing her, she was a powerful leader, isn't it? Bearing her 2 children, and both of them she was, and rearing them, right? But not every woman may not be. So therefore, it will require her absence from statecraft. It will require her absence from politics. And in that absence, she will be dependent on a man. And therefore, this is likely that she may lose power. All right. But more than that, when she comes back, when the child is grown of certain, she will try to take back power, which she may successfully be able to do, But in most likelihood, what may happen is that to retain power, it will be very likely that the woman may not want to have the burden of childbearing itself. Right? She may lose power, she will fear losing power. Her absence from statecraft, her absence from politics may lead to the transfer of power from her to, let's say, the male gender, who's her partner. So in such a case, what is she more likely to do? She's likely to not have children, and she has all the qualities of leadership. She knows the basics and the advanced course of politics. She knows she's able to manipulate the whole population to elect her to be the leader. And yet, what is the problem here? Because she would not want to lose power, she would not want to enter into marriage or into the function of childbearing, which is why she will be unable to pass the genes, the superior genes that make women leaders. So sometimes it is argued. This is not the final conclusive thing, but one of the arguments is given that it is, But in democracy, why? You see the 3 top leaders in the past 2 decades that were able to control 1 bachelor prime minister, 3 ladies who were, this country has a 2nd bachelor prime minister, but before this, which was of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, troubled by 3 ladies. Which 3 ladies? All of them issueless. If you see that there are more reasons to believe that this theory is true, it is not completely true. But one of the ideas that is given is, so therefore yes. So to be successful in politics, for a man, he does not need to give up his family. But for a woman, she may have to give up her family, because in essence, it's not the family that is worrisome, it is the nature's role that is assigned to her. So who will liberate women from this technology? Isn't it? That could happen in a century from now onwards, isn't it? Yes, so a lot of things is, based on one biological difference, a lot of social differences are created which are unwanted. Based on one biological difference that only a woman can create life or give birth, several social differences have been artificially created that are rooted not in biology but in culture. So you will say, sir, he is saying that because of this patriarchy exists. But what our argument against patriarchy is, that based on a biological difference, several artificially created differences are created between men and women that are not rooted in biology or nature, but are rooted in culture, isn't it? For example, in several societies, including tribal societies, you will often have a matrilinear families and often matriarchal families, isn't it? Then marriages are expensive. This is one. So here, how can you debunk this? One is that it is widely accepted today that practices such as dowry are not only immoral but also illegal. And modern practices, and in modern times, marriages are, financial burden of marriage is usually, in modern times, is borne by both the families. And further, the money spent on today, if you see, a large number of, it is also argued that women are what is called paraya dhan, which means that even if you educate her and if she starts earning money, then what is going to happen? The benefits of the money that she's going to earn on the basis of education funded by her parents, the benefits will not accrue to the parents but will accrue to the family that she is married into. Right? This is one concern, that पढ़ाएंगे भी तो क्या होगा? लड़के को पढ़ाएंगे, then he will give back some to us. But if we educate a woman, then the benefits of that education will not accrue to us, but to the family that she is married into, given the patrilinear nature of society. But if you see today, rising institutions of what is called nuclear family, where just the husband, wife and kids are there, not even the boys' parents are staying, neither the girls' parents are staying. All right, modern institutions such as the nuclear family, these do away with the distinctions. The institution of nuclear family. Second, government legislations such as Maintenance of Senior Citizens Act. Abhi it is not on the daughter, filhal, as far as I know. It is a state government law. Several states have come up with Maintenance of Senior Citizen Acts, which means that you have to take care of your parents. Maintenance of Senior Citizens Act, or older persons. These will generally be brought in places which will often have more laws and less good governance. Generally ऐसा होगा. जहाँ भी, in any place where you will see too many laws, there will generally be too many issues of governance issues will be there. Maintenance of Older Persons Act, that make it a responsibility on the son to bear. अभी वो सब change होगा. Why? Because already equal rights in inheritance is being given to the daughter. So therefore, eventually this will change, and we can put it as a suggestion. Is it समझ में आ रहा है क्या बोल रहा हूँ? Maintenance of senior citizens. When parents are older, then who has to take care of them? The children, not just the son, but also the daughter. Therefore, increasingly we moving towards the society that is. So these do away with the cognitive or beliefs that the wrong beliefs that we have about women. And yes, and her education, you can give several examples of women who have been successful. Indra Nooyi, for example, who have been global CEOs. Any women global CEOs? Or in leadership positions? Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, yes. Of Biocon. Who else? Huh? Shiv Nadar's daughter, okay. That's the problem, whole problem with this approach. Huh? In Facebook, who do you have? Sheryl Sandberg, yes, CEO, no? Yes, Nykaa founder, Faguri Nair. So women CEOs are there. The world's richest women billionaire is? Okay, so let's not get there. हमको answer लिखना है. So these are social norms. Social norms, when they will change, a lot of things will change. Even in other sports, for example, even in other walks of life, such as sports women are doing good. There is also the famous Revolver Dadi. Revolver Dadi was her name. She has won several national, international prizes from Uttar Pradesh. Septuagenarian, 70 years old. Now she's no more. I think COVID में गई या yeah, before. There are two of them. What is that? From where is she in UP? Bagpat. Bagpat is not in UP से है. इसको ठीक है एक बार check करना पड़ेगा Revolver दादी. So she said shooting में she has won several awards, national, international awards she has won. एक दो लाइन लिख लो. Write down. Note, NOT note, role of media in social attitude towards women. Note, role of media in social attitude towards women. Social attitude towards women. एक दो लाइन लिखो. Mass media is widely responsible for, critical note है, mass media is widely responsible for objectification of women. Responsible for objectification of women. They are often commodified, which means treated, made as a commodity. They are often commodified. Commodity से commodified. They are often commodified, objectified. They are often commodified and objectified as sexual objects, highlighting their beauty and seductiveness, inviting and welcoming the male gaze, This invariably leads to rising crimes. Against women, such as eve teasing, sexual harassment at workplace, etc. Eve teasing, sexual harassment at workplace, etc. They are also objectified as in traditional. They are also objectified in traditional gender roles. As a wife, sister, mother, who exist only in relation to the male counterpart. Who exist only in relation to the male counterpart. Who exist only in relation to their male counterpart, incapable of existing in their own might. Incapable of existing in their own might. मतलब अपने बूते पर. Incapable of existing in their own might. They are shown as caregivers and homemakers. Homemakers who cook for the family. Caregivers and homemakers who cook for the family, bear children, buy groceries, make sacrifices for the family, give up their career for family, career for family. Such views reinforce patriarchal and what? Patriarchal and subordinate gender roles. Patriarchal and subordinate gender roles. She is often shown as pariah dhan, to be raised only to be married off. She is often shown as pariah dhan, to be raised. Pariah dhan, to be raised only to be married off. Only to be married off. The benefits of her education, if any, the benefits of her education, if any, the benefits of her education, if any, accrue not to the parents, but to the in-laws. She is often shown as weak. In inverted commas, you can write abla, A-B-L-A, weak, abla. Incapable of protecting herself. And always in need of protection. Incapable of protecting herself and always in need of protection from the male counterpart. From the male counterparts. एक दो लाइन और लिख लो. Media also has a progressive role. Next. Media also has a progressive role. Media also has a progressive role in creating social attitudes, in creating positive social attitudes towards women, when they are shown choosing partners for marriage, comma, as equal partners in a marriage, comma, as decision makers in the family, as earning members independent of family expectations. And yet supporting their parents like sons would. As sons would. They are shown in leadership positions. In politics and business. Dominating boardrooms. Corporate boardrooms. dominating corporate boardrooms and making their own career choices. And making their own career choices. Okay. Mass media has also championed the cause of feminist movements, And can you think of certain campaigns that have, yes, hashtag Me Too campaigns? What else? Pinjra Tod campaigns. Hashtag Me Too, Pinjra Tod. About a decade or so back, around, I think it would be 15 years back, what had happened is, in Karnataka, as far as I can remember, there was also the, okay, usko rehne do. All, My Life, My Choice movements also criticized equally, but Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Active what? Post Nirbhaya, हाँ. Women's safety issues have been highlighted by media. Chuppi Tod against domestic violence. Against domestic violence. Even the Bell Bajao campaign. Ring a bell if you have. For there. Huh? All right. बाकी चीजें भी डाल सकते हो, generating awareness to our rights. Okay. Then let us begin with another topic today. There are some topics जिसको करना है, लेकिन इसको begin कर लेते हैं. Emotional intelligence. Let us begin this. In the next two classes, that is today's and next class, we will be done with behavioral ethics. So emotional intelligence and attitude will be done. So it will take us this class and the next class, and subsequently we'll move to administrative ethics, public service values. All right? Emotional intelligence. To know about these. Social intelligence. In emotions, we'll try to study happiness, already done. Anger, we will study. Trust and trust deficit. Anger is already asked by UPSC. We'll study about hatred and hate crime. Envy and jealousy, expected question. Envy and jealousy. इससे नहीं आया है question. Questions can get repeated very often in ethics, and new questions are asked from what has not been asked previously. Hatred and hate crimes. Mob lynching. इससे fall, hate से it will start and mob lynching will be end. So mob lynching is not the emotion, hate is the emotion. Then we will do some models of emotional intelligence. There is the what is called the ability model. And the mixed model. Role of emotional intelligence and civil service. Direct question, and every year, nearly every year, this question will be there. Role of emotional intelligence in administration or in civil service. All right. So emotions. Everybody has emotions in this class? कोई है निष्ठुर? Emotions नहीं है लेकिन emotional अत्याचार है. Right? Emotional अत्याचार. Right? So what are emotions and how do they theoretically? For all practical purposes, emotions and feelings and moods are nearly the same thing for all practical purposes. But for theoretical study, theorists, different theorists and researchers, they have tried to study this. They have tried to come up with small study groups. And they've come up with several theories. UPSC has asked the theories, has started asking theories also, which was not earlier the case. They are more applied questions and open-ended questions earlier. But now theories also have been asked, so we'll study them. Okay? Mostly in ethics test or in essay test, you will always see people go through several emotions. You go and watch, it is the most interesting thing to see. You will see that if an ethics test is happening or an essay test is happening, people's face will keep changing from anger to joy to happiness to suddenly very satisfied and relaxed. Then the whole face will turn red and they will be writing something very passionately. What I feel is that while passion is good, the more dispassionate you are when you are writing your ethics or essay answers, the better you will score. Because when we are passionate about something, what is the challenge? What challenge do you foresee? You will have bias and it is likely to be unidimensional. Case study, you are asked whether you will keep the budhia in the train or not, and you have a very strong facial expression. It means you are only going to write one side. You are exactly the TT who the people will catch when the budhia is gone with a small child, right? Therefore, dereliction of duty you will be doing, isn't it? Anyway, so let us begin with a simple term. Emotions. See, emotions is derived from the Latin word emovere. It simply means to stir or to agitate. That is how our emotions are, isn't it? It stirs up something within you. What will lead to a rise in emotions? I mean, certain emotions and feelings in your body or in your mind. What leads to certain emotions and feelings? One is the external environment, isn't it? You may say, sir, sometimes we may feel or our emotions will often be as a consequence of something that somebody may have said, and more often than not. Right? Somebody says something which is not agreeable to you or something that is hurtful to you, isn't it? Then you will have a sudden burst of emotions. But that is less than 1% of the sources of your emotions. Most of the times, your emotions will keep coming and going based on the thoughts that you're having in your mind. Often based on several instances of the past. A lot of people keep thinking about the past and past as to what has happened. People come in all varieties, isn't it? Some people who are constantly thinking of the past. उसने मेरे साथ ऐसा किया, दिन भर वही सोच रहे हैं. अब क्या करना है? बदला लेना है. सबका बदला लेना है. Right? So that is one kind of emotion that will be, or some people always, The other people will be reliving the good memories of the past sometimes. So bad memories will often come in a couple. You will not always have bad memories. You will also have good memories. So therefore, you will either think of the past. The other people, most of the people, they'll be thinking of the future. ये हो जाएगा तो ऐसे करेंगे तो वैसे करेंगे, एग्जाम क्लियर हो जाएगा तो आईएएस बनेंगे तो सबसे पहले ये काम करेंगे. बच्चे ने कहा मुझे कि सर नाउ आई एम सिलेक्टेड, सो पुट अ पोस्टर ऑफ माइन इन द नेटिव सिटी ऑफ माई एक्स गर्लफ्रेंड. ठीक है, सो दैट शी विल सी एवरी डे एंड शी विल regret. Reply to him that she will not regret no matter what. These things don't work on those calculations. कुछ दिन के लिए होगा, others will make her regret or him regret. Let us be gender neutral here. All right, nothing. So therefore, you will see that some people will always keep looking into the future, right? And who is the most emotionally stable person? The one who is in the present, isn't it? So if you see emotions, emotions are what? We say that they are the psychological state of the mind. They are the psychological state of mind. Psychological state of the mind. They are involuntary. They are involuntary. They refer to psychological arousal. They refer to what is called psychological arousal. What do I mean when I say involuntary? Yes, not under our control. चाहने से नहीं आएगा. Yeah, if you don't wish them to be affected, then also it is not possible. It has its own mood, its own season. It will come, those emotions will come when they have to come, and they will go when they want to go or when they have to go. Isn't it? It's not within your control. They come to us subconsciously. They will come to us subconsciously. सब कुछ सही चल रहा है. Subconsciously, अचानक से emotions will hit you. And they form the affective component of attitude. They form the affective component of attitude. Emotions can be, they control our thoughts and therefore our speech and action. We have already discussed in some of the approaches to the study of ethics that people make decisions not on the basis of rationality but mostly on the basis of emotions. They are sometimes or often, they are said to be sometimes or often, they are often more critical than what? Logic or reason or rationality. In what? In decision making. Decisions will be made not on the basis of logic or reason but on emotions. Most decisions, can you explain? You think of an example. The government did a very good job. If you see from 2014 to 2019, they did a very good job. The government had undertaken a lot of development projects. The NDA government, NDA 1, all right, they had undertaken a lot of development projects. Think of it, why emotions are so critical. Now, they knew that despite all the development, they had also been following a very active foreign policy. Always making endeavors to give same importance to an Indian life that is otherwise given to a European or an American life. Which means that if you are an Indian, you are trapped in some part of the world, and if you tag your foreign minister, somebody will actually come from the foreign service and rescue you in any part of the world. This is very common to an American citizen. An American citizen, when he comes to India, he is supposed to, there are the embassy, and so their foreign office is always aware where their citizens are, and when they get into trouble, the Americans will not hesitate from calling up their Indian counterparts, and a local policeman will immediately come to your rescue if you are an American citizen. It is not generally used by white people, but generally it is often misused by brown people who have gotten American citizenship. Like for example, you have a fight with a neighbor. You start claiming in India also that you are an American, and therefore you will write to your foreign office that my life is under threat. So because America being a conventional superpower, you will see that next day a policeman will come that he's an American citizen, his life needs to be treated as preciously as it is treated in US. है ना? Whereas an Indian trapped anywhere earlier, Bhagwan Bharose. Now if you see that, at least that perspective or that changed with the what is called Twitter diplomacy and the access to, Twitter, people could tweet to the railway minister, to the foreign minister, and they could get access to government services, or they could report deficiencies. But if you see, emotions are, as I said, they arouse within us through external stimulus, such as words. किसी ने कुछ कह दिया, क्लास आने के पहले तुम्हें, you met a certain person who is always negative about you. जाने के पहले बोल दिया कर लो क्लास, क्या ही हो जाएगा. तुम्हारा दिन भर मूड खराब. निकलते समय कहते हैं UPSC is unpredictable, nothing will happen. Right? Something like this. So that will incite a certain emotion. Sometimes you will read something. You will read something that will make your blood boil. Isn't it? Sometimes you will see something and that is also a stimulation to you that will lead to arousal of certain emotions in your mind. Music, for example. It is said that if you want to soothe or you want to feel calm, then you listen to music, or sometimes you watch fishes in an aquarium. That your mind, no matter how unpeace you how much at unpeace you are, if you watch fishes or if you have pets, then your emotions will calm down and you will feel much more relaxed. So before the 2019, when we had an election, the government knew that despite doing everything, the people may or may not vote for the party in power, because decisions are made by what? Emotions. So the most important part is that you have to connect with your audience. That becomes the most important part. Now the problem before voting is that you have certain model code of conduct, during which there is a blackout period. In that period, no political party or person, including those in power, can be reported by the media. Can be reported by the media. So it's not like if you're the prime minister, you can announce something and the media will report. There has to be time before the electorate. He is quiet. He should think कि किसको vote देना है. All right. And if you see such a master stroke by the prime minister of the country, yes. So it was not reported by conventional media, but at least it was said that the prime minister went where? To Badrinath. And suddenly what happened is there were pictures. And so there were two prime ministerial candidates, as you see. One of the prime ministerial candidates was seen in Badrinath inside a cave, meditating, wearing a saffron. Isn't it? Now, and those pictures were released where? On social media. Now, that blackout period, the electorate is undecided who to vote. Right? The person is undecided ki kisko vote dein. And most likelihood, who is he going to vote? The last person who he has interacted with him or who has seen him. Right? Because in that moment of anxiety, he's the last. Suddenly, social media, WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, everywhere, it is full that the prime minister is meditating inside a cave in wearing saffron. Immediate connection with the electorate. Massive electoral victory. Isn't it? So therefore, I'm not saying that this was against reason, but what I'm saying is this is one of the ways how emotions can play a role in making decisions. Okay. All right. So emotions can be two kinds again. You can either have some positive emotions or you may have negative emotions. Positive emotions, if you see, they motivate us. Positive emotions will motivate us. Then they contribute to our happiness. Positive emotions contribute to our happiness. They promote well-being. They promote well-being. It leads to better productivity. Leads to better productivity and better social relations. They contribute to our happiness. They lead to better well-being. There is better productivity and better social relations. And then negative emotions. They have their own role. They demotivate us. They contribute to anxiety. They contribute to anxiety. contribute to unhappiness, anxiety, unhappiness, lower efficiency and productivity, lower efficiency and productivity, poor social relations, poor social relations. All right, if you see emotions theoretically, they have 5 components. The first is the stimulus. The first component is the stimulus. Example of positive emotions. Positive emotions are your joy and happiness, satisfaction. These are positive emotions. Negative emotions are jealousy, envy, anger. Have you met an angry person around you? If you have not met, then you are the angry person. Because everybody else तुमसे ठंडा ही है. सर मैं कभी किसी गुस्से वाले से नहीं मिला. वो तो बड़ा माइल्ड है. तुमको पता ही नहीं कि सबसे गुस्से वाले अपने ग्रुप में तुम हो. Angry people sometimes they don't know that they are angry. You met certain angry people. Generally it is said that fathers are angry in the house. So what happens is, why do they get angry? Because they work hard all day long and they come back home और देखते हैं कि घर में पार्टी चल रही है. Dealing with all the chaos in the office. और घर आए तो बच्चे ने कहा आप मेरी ये नहीं लाए, उसको लेकर रोना मचाया हुआ है. He is not understanding the gravity of the challenges, but he cannot. He is a family man, isn't it? So angry people sometimes they don't realize, and angry people often you will see that being around an angry person will automatically reduce the quality of your life. God forbid if you get an angry person as a spouse. It can happen to any of us. All right, men or women irrespective. You could be a man and has an angry wife who's angry all the time, or you're a woman and has a angry husband. That's a very challenging situation, right? It will lead to immediate drop in the quality of life because for everything there will be a reaction, isn't it? So challenging. So the first component is the stimulus. This is the cognitive or the cognitive appraisal. Here, the cognitive appraisal of the stimulus happens. Cognitive appraisal of the stimulus happens. The mind comes to know that there is a stimulus means an external act. Stimulus means something that stimulates our sense organs. I have told you that there are 5 external sense organs and there is one internal sense organ, that is the mind. So therefore, cognitive appraisal of the stimulus, where it is evaluated by the mind or the sense organs, right? For example, the smell of hot samosas, or if you ever pass by a bakery, it will have all the 3 things that are not good for health. Passing by a bakery, always you will have a sweet smell. And what will be the smell coming from? Lots of maida, lots of sugar, and lots of fat. Isn't it? All these 3 things. And immediately क्या होगा? Bakery के बगल से गुजरोगे तो थोड़ी सी smile आ जाएगी चेहरे पे. That happens with sometimes when you have, it's raining outside and there is somebody is bringing a hot cup of tea. तो बस सूंघते के साथ लगता है this is paradise. If there is paradise on earth, it is here, here and here. Right? Some people have that. So that is your cognitive appraisal. The smell of the flavor, or it has an impact on your sense organs. Second is the bodily or physiological symptoms. Bodily or physiological. Physiological simply means of the body. Bodily or physiological symptoms. Or physiological symptoms. So bodily or physiological symptoms are immediate. They are immediate. And they are immediate and involuntary. They are immediate and involuntary. So for example, there will be salivation on seeing good food, salivation, or for example, there could be what is called sweating, dilation of pupils. जो आंखें बड़ी बड़ी हो जाती हैं. Why do pupils get dilated? To see better, right? Pupils get dilated basically. The pupils get dilated so that more light can enter the eye and you can see better. That is a response mechanism of our body. You may have sweating, you may have racing heartbeat. These are physiological responses of the body. The face turning red. Yes, shivering. The door opens and a leopard walks in. That will happen. Right? Huh? So there can be emotions like nervousness. You could argue that depending on the, so we will read about how emotional regulation abhi aage padhenge. So one is that they could be, you're saying neutral. Actually, it will always depend on the context. All right. Then there will be third, this will be followed by what is called action tendency. Stimulus will happen, bodily or physiological response, and then there will be action tendency. Action tendency. So this is the motivational component that drives action. It is the motivational component that drives action. Motivational component that drives action. It is not the action itself, but the tendency to act. It is not the action itself, but tendency to act, or the urge to act. If a tiger walks into the class, what will be the immediate urge that you will have? Run. बेंच पर चढ़ जाए. और कुछ बच्चे ढूंढेंगे कि किसी को फेंक दे टाइगर पर अपनी जान बचाने के लिए. The joke goes that if you are two friends traveling in a forest and a tiger chases, then you don't have to run faster than the tiger. You just have to run faster than your friend. Right? So once bodily symptoms will be there, that will happen. Then facial expression, हम इसमें नहीं रखते. Face turning red, we'll not keep it here, we'll keep it here. Then they will be followed by the visible symptoms, that is facial expression. There could be a pleasant expression or a smile. There could be a frown. There could be fear. And there could be face turning red. Right, and from here, while stimulus is external or maybe a thought, bodily physiological functions are not within our control. Slowly, action tendency. There is an urge to act in a certain manner. For example, fight or flight. Right? And facial expression. And now, what we say is, what is called, there is feelings. Feelings, which is the subjective experience of our emotional state. Subjective experience, I'll explain this. Subjective experience of our emotional state. Subjective experience of our emotional state. So why do we say that now theoretically, why feelings come as the last? Why is it not the same as emotion? Because see, as we are attending this class itself, you will see that a lot of thoughts and emotions, thoughts will impinge on your mind without, let's say, an external stimuli. Those thoughts are an internal stimuli and they will infringe on your mind, leading to several emotional states. So the emotions will keep going and coming. All of these may not traverse all the 5 stages. All of these may not. Some emotions will go, they'll strike you for a second and they'll go. You will have a thought about the exam and suddenly you will feel fear, and maybe in a blink of a second it will go, because then the dictation begins in the class. Otherwise you are lost. So what happened is, write down. Jaise hi write down, your emotions are gone and you don't even realize. I ask you, were you afraid in the class? He said, no, I don't remember a moment. Because those feelings, those emotional states will come and go. Our mind is always intentional or filled with something. Our minds, anyway, so our minds are always filled with something. It is always intentional, which means there's something in it. Which is why sometimes it is said that you must practice what? Meditation, focusing on zero, focusing on emptying your mind. There is several kinds of meditation. You focus sometimes on either at one point, sometimes you focus on your nose, sometimes you focus on zero, and sometimes you try to keep it empty. And how do you do it in meditation? You try to deflect all the ideas that come to your mind. If you try to meditate even for 1 hour, new ideas will keep coming. New emotions will keep coming. You suddenly, every second you will feel differently. And what is the whole purpose? The whole purpose is to let those ideas come and go away, realizing that those ideas are very transitory, isn't it? So what happens is, some of these ideas, this stimulus will happen, but they may go ahead and have some physiological symptoms. Some of these will lead to certain action tendencies, right? Some of these will lead to certain action tendencies, an urge to act in a manner, and then they will go. They may not culminate finally into feelings. Feelings are something that is a subjective experience of emotional state. In feelings, you know that you have had the emotion. All emotions will not culminate into feelings. I repeat, all emotions may not culminate into feelings. Emotions are immediate with a physiological response. Okay. Then feelings, if you see, these are emotions when processed by the mind. These are emotions which are processed by the mind. Okay. Yes. They're different. So this is 5 components of it. Often there is a progression. Okay. There is a progression, one thing leading to another. Yes. Feelings are the last when we have a subjective experience. When we have a subjective experience, which means that depending on the same emotion, same visuals, let us say you have a certain emotion that comes and your experience will be different with that same emotion. Your feeling will be different. You see an image, just imagine a situation, while you were coming back, you saw that there were some few puppies that were homeless and probably the mother was dead. Now because you had to attend a class, you came to the class. Now that visuals will keep generating certain emotions. There will be a point of time in the class you will think, that these puppies, if they are homeless, they will be, some vehicle may hit them. So you will have a certain urge ki class se chodu aur jaakar pehle, those who are animal activists, let me provide them shelter to them. Then you will have different kinds of feelings. Depending on what it is, there is an application of mind. And when that application will happen, different feelings will happen. Suddenly you will see that looking at the puppy's face, you will suddenly grow angry. क्या आइडिया लगा दिमाग ने बताया कि याद है छोटे थे तो कैसे स्ट्रे डॉग ने काटा था तुम्हें, एंड यू वर डिफेंसलेस लाइंग इन द फ्लोर, राइट, अगेंस्ट अ बिग डॉग. तो ये पपीज भी बड़े होकर डेंजरस स्ट्रे डॉग्स बनेंगे. योर फीलिंग्स विल बिकम अ लॉट डिफरेंट. ऑलराइट. We can have emotions without stimulus, which is why I said that internal sense organ. That is, our thoughts may be the stimulus, that a certain thought will come. ठीक है. So sometimes what is happening is, ठीक है, एक टेबल बना लो. Emotions, feelings and mood. Most commonly heard, सबसे ज़्यादा कौन सा heard है? मूड खराब है आज. So emotions are immediate. Emotions are immediate physiological response. or immediate psychological, we can say immediate psychological state of mind. It is a state of mind. It is not processed by the mind. उस पर अभी लॉजिक वगैरह नहीं लगा है. No memory application, nothing is there. It is emotions. Feelings, on the other hand, these are said to be emotions. Yes. These are subjective experience of the emotion. They are subjective experience of the emotions. It is processed by the mind. It is processed by the mind. And emotions will come and go. Feelings will last a little longer. So after studying this, you can say that while my emotions for you are gone, my feelings are still there. Because feelings are supposed to be little more, last longer than emotions. This happens, feelings happen when emotions are assigned meanings. When emotions are assigned meaning. See, emotions may come and go. Emotions may come and go subconsciously. Emotions may come and go subconsciously. But feelings is something that we are aware of. We are aware of. That is why they are saying that I'm feeling like this. We are aware of. We are aware of. And what is mood? Your mood does not change every 15-20 minutes, does it? Though there could be some very moody people like that with mood swings. Right, but broadly we say that moods are more stable and more long lasting. पेपर देखा है, प्रीलिम्स का मूड खराब है और महीनों तक खराब रहता है. Right? They are more long lasting. They are again an emotional state of the mind. Now, if you see our emotions, both our emotions and feelings in particular, are they usually strong or are they weak? See, they will be strong, they will lead to an action tendency. But mood, if you see, mood will be something that is perpetual. मतलब मूड सड़ा सा है, सुबह उठ रहे हैं, एक्सरसाइज भी कर रहे हैं, क्लास भी जा रहे हैं, खाना भी खा रहे हैं. कुछ अगर अपने पसंद का, if you get something of your choice, then it will make you happy for a few minutes. And then again going back and the same heaviness will draw on you. That is your mood. Mood kharab sa hai. It will last for longer time. It will last for days and weeks. Isn't it? It will not be particularly easy to say that why your mood is bad. Right? मैं पूछूंगा mood क्यों खराब है? You will be able to locate it in time कि इस समय से mood खराब है. But ऐसे इसकी अच्छा यही problem है. He said नहीं sir और भी बड़े सारे कारण हैं. Some people will say, sir, I'm going through a very terrible mood and I'm not able to pick myself up from bed. In the morning, I just don't want to rise up. And therefore, I keep sleeping in my bed. I have some sort of depression. Sometimes students say this. And what happens if you ask them, there is no specific cause of it. And mood is not something that will immediately urge you to take an action. So therefore, if you see mood will be often, mood is less intense and more perpetual than emotions and feelings. It is often what we call more chronic. Whereas feelings will be more acute. What is the opposite of chronic? Acute. Everybody understands difference between chronic and acute? You have broken your leg. What sort of problem it is? Don't say chronic. Acute. Right? Which means that it needs immediate attention. You have broken your heart. More chronic. कोई कहेगा कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट को दिखा दो, बोला नहीं कुछ नहीं होना है. Right? More chronic. You will feel longer like that, isn't it? Or for example, hair fall. It is more chronic problem. You don't know when to take action on it. And when you take action on it, it's too late. Isn't it? Right? Mood swings may have a trigger, but may not have specific reason. May have a trigger, but may not have a specific reason. You're going and then you meet an old enemy of yours while going outside who has always tried to belittle your efforts. So what may happen is when you see him, he or she has gone and passed by. अब तुम्हारा mood क्या हो गया? खराब हो गया. So somebody will ask you, अच्छा, you saw him, उसके कारण mood खराब है. You may say, नहीं, उसके कारण नहीं. Lots of things are there. But yes, it was probably the trigger point. Isn't it? All right. Then there is something. All right. So this is the difference. Study the functions. हाँ. इनको ठीक है, और सोचेंगे, पहले इसको कर ले फिर देखेंगे इसको if we can diagrammatically represent it. हाँ. Yes, mood, you can say that mood is something that is inferred. Mood can be inferred. Your feelings and emotions, difficult. Mood को कह सकते हो to some extent, it can be inferred by our body language, but then your emotions are complete mental states of the mind. Feelings is something that you feel and there could be some visual signs of it. And mood is something that can be inferred, and therefore you could say that it is a behavioral. It is behavioral. Mood can be exhibited. But then to some extent we can say that. To some extent we can say that. Mood can be inferred by behavior of a person. Emotions के components का. So theorists have given that whole emotions as such as we see them, they have said that the whole system of emotions, theoretically studying, it has 5 components, which means that 5 things are, whenever there is an emotion, there are 5 things that are associated with it. All right, which means they are often said as 5 components actually. 5 components. You can say that they often follow a certain trajectory, but they are often said as 5 components. They have 5 components. Theorists have studied emotions and they said that there are 5 components of it. The first is the stimulus, which will be an external object or an internal thought. The other will be the body physiological symptoms. Then there will be an action tendency. And so technically all of your emotion when you're sitting and when you're having all those strong emotions, or then there are several things at play. One is an external stimulus, that is, for example, you may feel like sneezing and you have a certain emotion. And that will be based on, let's say, the AC air is blowing over you. So if you see your emotion and you have an urge to move out of the class before you sneeze out inconveniently in front of everyone, right? So there is a lot of things at play. So they say that the theorists have given that there are different theories are there. They have given different components. We have taken one classical standard theory, that is, they've said that 5 components are there. All right. See, functions, let's say functions of emotion. See, one is that they motivate action. They motivate action, which means that how we feel determines a lot of our actions. They are also a source of fight or flight. They are a source of fight or flight. Therefore, very important for self-preservation. Very important for what? Self-preservation. For maintaining bodily integrity and avoiding any physical harm to your body. Isn't it? They play bigger role than rationality in decision making. We all will make decisions on the basis of the emotions. Isn't it? We all make decisions, which is why you will see that when you're going to in summer season, when you're going to a shop, you will see that whether you have to choose between normal regular water or a cold drink. The cold drink picture will be with ice and snow and whatnot, right? And an extremely slim model, so that you also think that it's not going to harm your physical. So all these things will be there. What is the whole purpose? The whole purpose is to agitate your or stir up your emotions, and on that basis you will end up choosing thanda matlab Coca-Cola, because you'll suddenly feel that yaar, water is expensive. I'm paying 10 rupees for a bottle of water. What is cheaper? Coke, which will never be cheaper than water. Isn't it? So therefore, that is what stir up your emotions, isn't it? It is a very widely used tool in marketing. Stirring up your emotions. Hurry. Or for example, when companies, FMCG goods, FMCG companies, they will run advertisements. They will often make use of this. For example, 20% extra. An emotion that is likely to bring delight on your face. Acha, 20% extra. And then you end up choosing it. बाद में पहले वो भी 100 ग्राम था, ये भी 100 ग्राम था, बस दोनों इसके ऊपर 20% extra printed था. It stirs up your emotion. When you get something for free, you generally feel happy or good about it, isn't it? So therefore, in marketing, this will be used, isn't it? Last day of sale. In Karol Bagh, every day there will be a sale. But when the ad will come, it will be last day. So that will incite a feeling of urgency in your mind, isn't it? Last day of sale marketing will incite ki aaj hi last day. So it will be urgency in your mind and therefore more likely to take action, isn't it? दिमाग नहीं लगाओगे. Christmas sale है, and the Christmas sale, 23 तारीख को ही last day of Christmas sale हो रही है. तुम कह रहे हो कि 25 को Christmas है. They help us understand other people. Emotions help us. They help us understand other people. They help us understand other people and help us modify our behavior to suit social situation. Modify our behavior to suit social situation. Emotions also help other people understand us. They help other people understand us. So one common technique that you will often see is that in a senior administrative position, what will happen is that you are a district collector in a remote area. Now a festival such as Holi, Diwali or Muharram, something will come. Now what is the big challenge in such festivals? Two challenges are there. One is the peaceful conduct of these festivals. Second challenge is that whole district staff, apart from those who are in key leadership positions, such as the district collector and the superintendent of police, everybody is in a छुट्टी का mood कि इस बार दिवाली में घर जाएंगे. Now how do you deal with certain situations? पहले से तुम खराब सी शक्ल बना कर रखोगे, so that the minute somebody is coming for a leave application that sir I need छुट्टी for Diwali to meet my family, Then you will, before that, you will grumble and say that for 2 Diwalis, I have been staying here. I have not met my own family. All right. So therefore, sometimes these emotions will help. They help. Last point, they help other people understand us. They help other people understand us. And it also helps other people. It helps other people. By our emotions, other people have a better understanding of us. Let us say you're not happy with something, and your emotions will exhibit that. It will be exhibited through your facial expression, through your body language. Or let's say you're very angry at something and you don't even shout. Without that, people can see your angry face and they can respond accordingly. Isn't it? So therefore, it helps in making adjustments, right? It helps in social situations. Let us say you goes to a party and then there is a vegetarian or a vegan person, and you end up offering him, "Aur bhai, chicken ka leg khaoge?" You end up a socially awkward question to him. Now what happens is, you see the facial expression on his face is red. What will happen in 1 second? You will make the judgment that this person is a vegetarian. Uske baad सीधे paneer tikka bhi hai udhar. You will try to avoid the situation. So therefore, it helps other people understand us, and it also helps us understand other people and navigate through social situations. अब वो अलग है. उसके बाद बोलोगे पत्ते भी हैं लास्ट में. All right. Write down a question. Differentiate between emotional intelligence and social intelligence. Differentiate between emotional intelligence and social intelligence. So now let us come to the word. See, before this term emotional intelligence, it was widely believed that there is only one kind of intelligence, which is intelligence itself. So what was commonly observed, that we broadly would understand intelligence is, it is an ability of the mind. What is intelligence? Intelligence is an ability of the mind. Some people are mentally more capable, they have better acumen, and some people are less capable and they are less skillful when it comes to their mind. But often it is observed that sometimes these most successful people who are brilliant with their application of their mind, they can solve major problems of maths, science. And what will happen is they will often fail in social situations. The people who are the sharpest in their mind will often not be successful. It was felt that, classical theories, they felt that intelligence alone was not sufficient, was not enough for making one successful in life. A person who is extremely radically intelligent, but is a failure both at workplace, he is not able to rise to the position of leadership. He is also not able to meet his familial expectations. Family expectations also he is not able to meet, and therefore there is also unhappy family. So what was more important then is, it was felt that is something beyond intelligence, which is responsible for making people successful. And one angle of successful is how society perceives you and how well you are able to get along well with other people, right? Because that is very important. If we existed in isolation, then intelligence alone was enough. If you existed in isolation, if there's just one of you on a planet, then your intelligence is enough to take you. But then where do we exist? We live in society. Society has other people, and therefore to navigate through them or to build social relations with them, you will need more than intelligence. And therefore this theory of emotional intelligence came. Okay, what is emotional intelligence? Write down. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand one's own emotions. Is the ability to understand one's own emotions and the emotions of others. understand one's own emotions and the emotions of others, and to regulate it, and to regulate it to get work done, and build better interpersonal relations, to get work done and build better social relations, you can say. Build better social relations. You know? So is this clear? Emotional intelligence means you know your own emotions, and you also understand the emotions of others. And what is the whole purpose of knowing your own emotions and emotions of others? Yes, to build interpersonal relations, build better social relations, and to get work done. This is extremely important for civil service or in any leadership position. So imagine the case that I discussed, that you are a district collector and everybody is in a chutti mood. Sabko chutti par jana hai. Right? Why? Because they have to celebrate the festival with their families, and you are the one who's alone worried about what will happen to the district if something untoward happens. Everybody will come up and say, sir, district collector to aap hi ho na. So it's your problem, right? So you understand that all the perks of the job are with, so whose responsibility it is? So therefore, in this situation, if you are, and now what happens is, let us say disaster is impending. Disaster is impending, for example, there is a cyclone alert, or there is a massive flooding alert that is there, which means that the team has to work with you. And the mood, लोगों का mood कैसा है? अलग खुशी के mood में है वो. Certain that now holidays are coming, we'll get to spend time with the family. Now it cannot be that you can completely disregard their emotions. You cannot scold everyone and say कि nobody will get a chutti and जाओ भागो सब लोग. Right? जाओ भागो nobody. Then what will happen? That is not how people work. They will be demotivated. They will be demotivated. They will say that we have been working so hard. Abhi we conducted the elections with the collector. He appreciated everyone. And now after the appreciation, it was after the conduct of the elections, we are expecting a leave so that we can go and meet our families. We are working on Sundays. We are working 24/7, which will be something that will need to be done because election times are there. So now what will be the expectation of the staff? The staff will expect some leniency from you. So if you are not emotionally intelligent, sirf dimag se tej ho, emotionally intelligent nahi ho, then what will happen? You will completely disregard their feelings. Even if you are under pressure, can you let that pressure show on your face? You cannot. If you show that you are under distress or something is wrong, and the minute, for example, you are thinking that elections have been conducted peacefully, everything has happened, but what is the sad news? The sad news is that the opposition party has won. So therefore, you are already feeling a heat that now your transfer probably is going to happen. You don't know. It will depend on the mood of the government of the day. The sad realities of administrative life. You conducted a very fair election. Election Commission gave a Prashasti a letter of appreciation that we congratulate the district administration and Mr. XYZ IAS for smooth conduct of elections, and we appreciate the work done by the district team. Now so everybody is happy, but you are knowing that there is a star mark here. Election Commission, after the Achar Sanhita or the Model Code of Conduct, will simply disappear next day. When elections happen, the Election Commission is an all-pervading body, which means that every person working in the administration is an employee of the Election Commission and is completely under the direct directions and superintendence of the Election Commission. All right? And the minute elections are over, Election Commission completely... So Election Commission will have the power to do appointments and transfers during that time. If they think that you are biased, you will be transferred out and somebody else will be brought in. All right. And whatever, if there is any failure to perform your duty, it will go in your service records, which will immediately ensure that in promotion terms, you will always be overlooked. So everybody has to do their job very properly. Isn't it? And now what happens is, the Election Commission will simply disappear from the day the elections are over. During elections, you will see even the chief ministerial candidate and ministers, particularly the CM gets a separate security, but ministers and MLAs, they will have to let go of their sarkari गाड़ी, अपने प्राइवेट गाड़ी में आएंगे. किसी के पास मारुति की छोटी सी गाड़ी है, पहले सरकारी बहुत बड़ी गाड़ी में 2-3 गाड़ियों के साथ आते थे. बट दैट डे एवरीबडी नोज दैट डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर के ऑफिस में तो गलती से भी सरकारी गाड़ी से I don't have to go. Otherwise, he will impound it there and there itself. जाएंगे गाड़ी से और वापस पैदल जाना पड़ेगा. With a member of parliament also, it is the duty. कुछ इधर उधर घूम लिए तो बात अलग है, लेकिन अगर कलेक्टर के सामने और किसी ने फोटो खींच लिया कि कलेक्टर साहब एमपी से हाथ मिलाते हुए और फोटो में सरकारी गाड़ी पर एमपी बैठे हुए या मिनिस्टर बैठे हुए, then you are in trouble. So you cannot seem to be allowing that also, right? So therefore you have to now you are worried, you cannot let the team know the minute that, for example, there could be an impending transfer because the opposition candidate has won. What will happen if the team or the staff knows that इनका transfer होने वाला है, तो सब पहले ही से मूड में आ जाएंगे कि अब तो सर जा रहे हैं, अब इनके कहने का बहुत कुछ अच्छा नहीं, इनसे मांगना भी नहीं है छुट्टी. So therefore anyway, X number of factors will be at play, which is why no matter how you are feeling, your emotional intelligence, now you have to know your emotions, how you are feeling at that moment. You have to be able to know your emotions and understand your emotions. And second, you also have to know the emotions of those in front of you and also understand their emotions, and you have to manage and manipulate it. Manage and manipulate it, right? To do what? To get work done. So for example, you know that agar 25 तारीख को there is Diwali, you know that staff will want to leave on 24th. तो कैसे करोगे? सबको कहोगे, you will try to say that the work done in this by the staff is very good, so let us celebrate by having a picnic on 24th. ठीक है, किसी को ये नहीं पता चलना चाहिए कि this is a ploy by you. जो पुराने लोग रहेंगे वो समझ जाएंगे. तो 24 को क्या होगा? पिकनिक का आयोजन होगा, so that nobody is able to leave on 24th. If they don't leave on 24th, then 25th को यहीं रहना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, तो पिकनिक में क्या करोगे? इंतजाम किए रहोगे कि रात में डिनर भी यहीं पर हो जाएगा. अब लोग रुक गए अगर 8-9 बजे तक, तो फिर अगली ट्रेन या गाड़ी उनको मिलेगी नहीं. तो 25 तारीख को ड्यूटी कहाँ करेंगे? जिला प्रशासन में ही. नेक्स्ट डे 9 बजे फोन करोगे, दे विल बी वेरी हैप्पी कि हाँ सर, कल की पार्टी और पिकनिक बड़ा अच्छा था. Nobody is now thinking also of that problem. You have sorted a problem that will require emotional intelligence. But if you are just intelligent, you will only think and see that the task, this is the task, you probably will not be able to get it done. You will not be able to get the services of your staff members towards the cause. You will not be able to enlist the services, which is why emotional intelligence becomes extremely important for managers and leaders. Isn't it? If you see, all right, so if you see emotional intelligence, then it is often said that it is an essential trait of leadership. It is an essential trait for leadership. It helps in making and enforcing decisions. It helps in making and enforcing our decisions. It helps in empathizing with others. It also helps in empathizing with others. Resolving conflicts. Resolving conflicts and overcoming challenges. Make a table: emotional intelligence and social intelligence on the right hand side, and overcoming challenges. Social intelligence is on the right hand side. What is social intelligence, if you see? Okay. Social intelligence is a wider term. Emotional intelligence is, this is social intelligence, and this is emotional intelligence. Think of an occasion. You are preparing for civil services. You don't have to think of it. You are actually preparing for civil services. तो दिमाग पे भी stress नहीं पड़ेगा, है ना? Now what happens is that you go after the mains examination is over. There is a marriage, है ना? And kind of civil services preparation takes away so much of your focus from yourself towards the institution and the exam that is being connected that you probably do not have clothes to wear. एक दो टी-शर्ट से काम चल जाता है. You don't have proper clothes to wear. Those things will happen to you. You do not know how to talk to people, how to greet people. You are not even aware what is happening in the outside world, the perils of preparing for civil services. You have made a world of your own. So what will happen is you are invited to a marriage and you have nothing to show except a few gray hair or graying hair because you are afraid of the perpetual question कि कर क्या रहे हो आजकल. Right, so this purpose, हाँ, है ना. अब तो ये भी होगा कि अच्छा यूपी या बिहार, डिपेंडिंग ऑन एवरी स्टेट, यूपी पीपल से यूपी से तो एक लड़की है शीता, उसका रैंक 1 आया, तुम्हारा क्या रहा? तुम कहोगे भाई मैंने अभी प्रीलिम्स दिया है. वो समझने को तैयार नहीं है कि एवरीबडी विल से कि हमारे चाचा या मामे की लड़की है. एवरीबडी विल से या हमारे पड़ोसी में इसका रैंक आ गया. दूर दूर से पड़ोसी से मिले नहीं होंगे वो, बोलेंगे हमारे इस रिलेटिव का ये रैंक आ गया, तुम्हारा क्या चल रहा है? Right, a dreary question. Now what will happen is you are there along with another friend who is also a civil services aspirant. So who will be a socially intelligent person? In that marriage, what will happen is most likelihood some of you will be sitting awkwardly in one corner, afraid of facing the crowd or the relatives. You are afraid of what questions they will ask from you. You don't know what to say. You are not able to say namaste, hi, hello, and you are not even able to identify कौन क्या है. मतलब you are the one who was a जीजा जी now has become a फूफा जी and he's अलग परेशान. Right, so therefore a socially intelligent person versus let's say you are socially awkward. What will be, you will be seated isolated in one place, nobody is coming to talk to you or nobody is able to talk to you after 10 seconds and you are also not able to strike a good conversation with anyone. On the other hand, you have a friend, he is also preparing for civil services. He knows the trick. He knows the trick. So what will happen is he will dress up properly for the occasion. He has come to eat the food that is being served in the party. And he has told you that, take me to the party along with you. Tell everyone I'm your friend and let me enjoy. So suddenly you will see he has worn very occasion appropriate clothes, which you are not having. तो हालांकि यहाँ पर फटी टी शर्ट में रहता था लेकिन उस दिन अच्छे कपड़े, चमकदार कपड़े पहनकर वो आ गया. And what is happening is he is meeting everyone. अच्छा चाचा जी, हाँ कैसे हैं? अच्छा आपकी बेटी कैसी है? अच्छा गुड़िया 6 साल की हो गई. He goes on to meet another one. He meets your mother. मम्मी ने पूछा एग्जाम कैसे गया? बहुत अच्छा हुआ है. इस बार तो बहुत अच्छा हुआ. उसने फॉर्म ही नहीं भरा था इस साल. लेकिन he knows how to deal with the crowd. He knows the right answers. He knows कि अच्छा एग्जाम बहुत अच्छा हुआ है. मैंने कहा नहीं बेटे बहुत अच्छे से मेहनत करो. All things are happening. So he is navigating. He is meeting everyone. He is the, in short, he starts telling civil services stories. He does a discussion on aspirants and Sandeep Bhaiya series also, and Panchayat and everything. He knows how to get the attention of the crowd. He is the center of attraction, and you are at the periphery of it. All right. So that person has social intelligence. He knows how to. On the other hand, you are not having that social intelligence. You have lost some of your basic communication skills. Some person comes to you and he says कि ice cream लेंगे या गुलाब जामुन. You don't know what to say because तुम्हें बहुत time से you have not had something good. Tiffin के खाने, हाँ? So end up saying both. And now what you have? You were awkward to ask him another plate. So now in one plate you have some ice cream, which is melting with the heat of the gulab jamun on top of it. Right? And you don't know what to do now. Right? And you're not सोच रहे अब इसको फेंकूंगा तो कोई देख लेगा कि ये कितना स्टूपिड है और उसको खाने में लगेगा तो कोई फोटो खींच लेगा कितना स्टूपिड लगेगा. Right? So you have all sorts of these social consciousness, and which is not allowing you to mingle with other people. You do not know how to. This will often be the situation where you will socially awkward. You are lacking interpersonal skills. You do not know how to interact with other people. So the minute you move your hand, hello, the other person says namaste. And what happens is when the other person आगे हाथ बढ़ाता तुम गलती से नमस्ते कर देते हो. Right? All these nuances are happening with you. Sounds familiar? नहीं है तो हो जाएगा. Right? So therefore you lack social intelligence. लोगों ने, people are averagely, as civil services aspirant, you are supposed to be very well read. है ना, कोई चाचा जी आया और उन्होंने बोला कि अच्छा रशिया यूक्रेन ने तो अमेरिका रशिया को हरा दिया, या किसी ने कुछ भी रैंडम बोल दिया. Somebody says कि in Russia Ukraine war Russia has defeated America. You went to correct him that sir the war is between Russia and Ukraine, not between Russia and America, and you started giving the details that this is the loss of life. Now you thought that you will look knowledgeable. In essence you are looking like a fool. उन्होंने उतना पूछा ही नहीं था जितना आपने समझा दिया. तुमने सारी एक्सपर्टीज, फिर लास्ट में उन्होंने पूछ लिया जो उनको नहीं. वो सब तो ठीक है बेटा, रिजल्ट कैसा रहा अलग दिक्कत है. Right, so that is, and some people are very well, they know how to deal with it. People have had a bad result. He says नहीं अभी तो नहीं हुआ, लेकिन अभी एफर्ट मार रहे हैं, लिस्ट बनाए हैं क्या क्या वीकनेसेस है उस पर काम कर रहे हैं. राइट, सो हाँ, इतना कोई नहीं सुनेगा. देखो सोशल इंटेलिजेंस आ गई है. राइट, राइट डाउन EI and SI, लिख लो कुछ. Social emotional intelligence, everything that we have discussed, ability to understand our emotions and emotions of others. Then in emotional intelligence we use emotions to solve problems at hand. Emotional intelligence, we use emotions or harness emotions to solve problems at hand. Emotional intelligence is used to make decisions to handle current situation. Is used to make decisions to handle current situation or situation at hand. Social intelligence, write down. Social intelligence is the skills of a person to get along. Skills of a person to get along well. To get along well with other members of society. Get along well with other members of society. They possess good social skills. That is, they are good speakers and listeners. They are good speakers and listeners. Affable. AFFABLE. What does affable mean? Lovable, yes. Affable. Easily mingle with people. Affable. AFFABLE. They are affable. Easily mingle with people. Social intelligence. It develops from our experience with people. Social intelligence develops from our experience with people and handling social situations. It develops with our experience with people and handling social situations. We learn from success and failure in social situations. We learn from success and failure in social situations. Next, it is interpersonal intelligence. It is interpersonal intelligence. Interpersonal. Emotional intelligence will be intrapersonal. Emotional intelligence क्या हो जाएगा? Intrapersonal. And this is interpersonal. People with high social intelligence manage the impression they make in front of people. Manage the impression they make in front of people. Manage the impression they make in front of people. Already manage in front of people. See, social intelligence is sometimes attributed to basically 5 things. It will be sometimes situational awareness, that they are aware of the situation. Social intelligence, situational awareness. P stands for presence. कहीं और खोए हुए नहीं हैं, they are present there. Situation awareness, presence. A is for authenticity. Authenticity. C is for clarity and empathy. The social intelligent friend of yours, he is not only situationally aware that ये शादी ब्याह का माहौल है, इस पर GS का स्कोर की बात नहीं करनी है. एस्पिरेंट्स को खोजा और पूछा तुम्हारे कितने नंबर है, तुम्हारे कितने नंबर है, कट ऑफ कितना, तो क्या है, यू हैव सिचुएशनली अवेयर. शादी ब्याह का माहौल है, इसमें यही बात करो किसने कितनी बढ़िया शेरवानी खरीदी है, किसने कितना अच्छा किया है, ये सब बातें होगी, फालतू बातें. यू आर ऑल्सो प्रेजेंट देयर, यू आर नॉट लॉस्ट, यू आर प्रेजेंट देयर. Your presence. Sometimes what will happen is you are present there physically, but mentally you will be somewhere else. यार ये वाला क्वेश्चन में ये मार्क कर लेता तो सही हो जाता, आज यहाँ शादी नहीं मना रहा होता, मेंस लिख रहा होता. All right, that may happen, isn't it? When there is authenticity, what do you mean by authenticity? It does not have a philosophical connotation. It simply means that what you say is grounded in factfulness, is truthful, appears truthful. There is authenticity. That is very important for social intelligence. You are saying something and others are not believing. Huh? Or the illusion of it. You must create an impression that you are authentic as a person. किसी ने कहा कि हमारे बड़े सारे लोगों में इस तरह की बातें होती रहती हैं, है ना, कि somebody will say that I have 2 cars, then the other person will say that I have, मेरे पास तो 4 गाड़ियां हैं, आए दोनों कैब में हैं, ठीक है, लेकिन गाड़ियां ऐसे हैं, ठीक है. सो देयरफॉर व्हेन यू आर मेकिंग दैट क्लेम, यू शुड लुक ऑथेंटिक, राइट. देन देयर हैज टू बी क्लैरिटी. दैट क्लैरिटी इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट इन सोशल अवेयरनेस. इट इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट इन सोशल इंटेलिजेंस. इफ यू लैक क्लैरिटी in your speech, in your communication, in your behavior, then it does not amount to social intelligence, right? A person who's social intelligence knows what to say, when to say, and whom to say. उसे पता है कि चाचा को क्या कहना है और भाभी को क्या कहना है. वो भाभी वाली बात चाचा को नहीं कहेगा, चाचा वाली बात भाभी को नहीं कहेगा. तुम awkward हो, तुम किसी से कुछ भी कह देते हो, है ना. लैक सोशल इंटेलिजेंस, है ना, इसलिए तुम्हें कोई पसंद नहीं करता. तुम यूपीएससी में खूब रैंक लेकर आए हो, फिर भी तुमसे मिलने कोई नहीं आया. उसने एसएससी सीजीएल निकाला है और सारे रिश्तेदार घर पहुंच गए हैं, राइट, है ना. एंड एम्पैथी एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट. विल डिस्कस एम्पैथी in the coming class. All right, see, people who are high on emotional intelligence, if you see emotional intelligence, people high on emotional intelligence, what is the benefit? They are emotionally stable. High on emotional intelligence, they are emotionally stable. They are consistent in behavior. They are consistent in behavior. Then they're usually optimistic. They're optimistic. And they're people's person. People's person. They're optimistic. And they're people's person. People. People's person मतलब लोगों में बहुत लोकप्रिय रहेंगे, जिनके साथ भी रहेंगे. And low in emotional intelligence mean not emotionally stable. Low in emotional intelligence mean not emotionally stable. Inconsistent behavior. Inconsistent behavior. Lot of mood swings will happen. Lot of mood swings will happen. सुबह बात करी, बड़े अच्छे से बात की, शाम तक कैसे ही बिहेव कर दिया. होते हैं कुछ लोग ऐसे. Lack empathy. Okay, let us take down another models of EI. Models of emotional intelligence. See, one is the ability model. Write down the ability model. First model is the ability model given by Mayer and Salovey. Mayer and Salovey. According to this model, emotional intelligence is an ability. EI is, it is an ability. And what sort of, how many abilities are there according to this model? They have theorized basically 4 kinds of abilities. If you see the ability model, four kinds of abilities are there. The first ability is perceiving emotion. The first ability is perceiving emotion, which means ability to become aware of one's own emotion. It means ability to become aware of one's own emotion. Ability to become aware of one's own emotion. Decipher emotions from facial expression or voice. Decipher emotion, सामने वाले का emotion decipher करना. Perceiving emotion. Decipher emotion from facial expression, voice, body language. All right. Then the second is using emotion. Second is understanding emotion. Understanding emotion. Second is understanding emotion, which means understanding emotional language. Understanding emotional language. For example, religious language, emotional language. For example, religious language or rhetoric, understanding rhetoric. And ability to observe changes in emotion. Ability to observe, understanding emotions means ability to observe changes in emotions. Ability to observe changes in emotions. The third ability is using emotions. In this ability, what do we do? We harness emotions to our advantage. We harness emotions to our advantage. Harness emotions to our advantage. Such people channelize emotions productively. Such people channelize emotions productively. They are able to channelize emotions productively. They use their moods. They use their moods to do the right work at the right time. Use their moods to do the right work at the right time. And last is managing our emotions, which means avoiding managing our emotions, which means regulating emotions, comma, not allowing emotions to control us, not allowing emotions to control us, not allowing emotions to control us, avoiding emotional outburst, avoiding emotional outburst. All right. Next, write down. I'll explain to you. Second is the trait model. The trait model given by Petrides. Petrides. Trait model given by Petrides. ठीक है. According to this model, EI is not ability. EI is not a ability, but a part of one's personality. Is not ability, but a part of one's personality. There is no standard. Say that there is no standard profile of an emotionally intelligent person. There is no standard profile of an emotionally intelligent person. No standard profile of an emotionally intelligent person. It's a part of one's personality. For example, someone working in hospitality or a waitress. For example, someone working in hospitality or a waitress may be more emotionally intelligent. May be more emotionally intelligent than a enlightened scientist or a researcher. Than a enlightened scientist. Than a scientist or a researcher. And third model, mixed model. And third model is the mixed model. Mixed model. Daniel Goldman's model is there. Mixed model. Daniel Goldman's model, which says EI is a function of both ability and personality trait. Mixed model, which says that emotional intelligence is a function of both ability and personality trait. EI is a function of both ability and personality trait. He has given 5 components of emotional intelligence. 5 components of emotional intelligence. Five components. First is self-awareness. Self-awareness. First is self-awareness. What is self-awareness? It is ability to recognize our emotions, ability to recognize our emotions and their impact on others. Ability to correctly recognize, कर दो नहीं तो, ability to correctly recognize our emotions and yes, impact on others. Its hallmark are self-confidence. self-confidence. Hallmarks are self-confidence, realistic self-assessment, realistic self-assessment, realistic self-assessment, and a self-deprecating sense of humor. Self-deprecating sense of humor. I'll explain to you all of these things. Self-deprecating sense of humor. Next, self-regulation. Second component, self-regulation. Self-regulation. The ability to control and redirect disruptive moods. Ability to control and redirect disruptive moods. मूड खराब है तो तोड़फोड़ नहीं मचाएंगे. Ability to control and redirect disruptive moods. Ability to avoid judgments during an emotional turmoil. Ability to avoid judgment during an emotional turmoil. Ability to avoid judgments during an emotional turmoil. Thinking before acting. Thinking before acting. Its hallmarks are trustworthiness and integrity. Hallmarks are trustworthiness and integrity. Openness to change and openness to change. The third is internal motivation. Internal motivation. Internal motivation. Not merely working for money and status. Internal motivation. Not merely working for money and status. Not merely working for money and status. Hallmarks are strong drive to achieve. Hallmarks are strong drive to achieve. There is an inner drive to achieve. Optimism even in face of failure. Optimism even in face of failure. And professional and organizational commitment. Professional and organizational commitment. Next, empathy. Next, empathy. Ability to understand the emotional makeup of others. Ability to understand the emotional makeup of others. Understand emotional makeup of others. Treating people according to their emotional reaction. Treating people according to their emotional reaction. It is important for talent retention in organization. Important for talent retention in organization. Then sensitivity to culture. Sensitivity to different cultures. And important for service orientation. Important for service orientation. If you don't have empathy, you do not have service orientation. Last, social skills, fifth one. Social skills. It is the ability in building and managing relationships. Ability to build and manage social skills. Ability to build and manage social skills. Finding common ground and working on them. Finding common ground and working on them. Fourth is empathy, and last is social. Fifth component is social skills. Very good. See, the first model that was given was an ability model. Salovey and Mayer said that emotional intelligence is an ability. What is that ability? The ability, there are four kinds of abilities that he gave. They gave four kinds of abilities. One was perceiving emotions. That one must be able to perceive emotions. Whose emotion? My own emotion and emotion of others. The second is understand the emotion. Perceiving alone is not enough, but you also have to understand what the other person is going through. Then harness or use the emotion, which means how we are able to direct the emotion to achieve outcomes. For example, you are very excited, or you are very much you think that right now you have a very good mood. What you will probably use it in writing a test. Let us say you are going through certain mood swings, you are not feeling well, and padhne ka man nahi hai. Then what will an emotionally intelligent person do? He will probably solve CSAT questions. Right? Ki maths ka question hai, usme thoughts, mood, it is less prone to mood swings compared to, let's say, doing reading comprehension. Reading comprehension karoge to idhar se udhar dimag jayega. Maths ka question solve karoge, you'll be mostly focusing on problem at hand unless the problem is very difficult, isn't it? So you're able to harness, you are able to use emotions, harness the emotion, exploit your emotion to get work done. You know that today your mood is so disrupted, so bad, that you probably cannot sit in your room, otherwise you'll be filled with negative feelings. What is a good idea? Go and attend a class. Kahin koi free seminar ho raha hai, wo attend kar lo. Go to the library, mingle with people, sit in front of people, and probably you will end up studying because they are studying. Right? So you have to know how to harness your emotions. Some people are very good at harnessing their emotions. Suppose they are feeling very energetic, or for example, they have decided to go for a workout or to the gym or to exercise. So what will happen? The minute they will have a good idea, they will immediately capture it. They will do it immediately instead of waiting for the bad side to catch up. Ki kya hi kar loge, right? So that's the ability model. And then there is the trait model. So this trait model says that it is a part of one's personality. It is not so much a skill. The minute it becomes a part of personality, what is the challenge? The challenge is that you are simply like that. It is not a skill which can be acquired. So that becomes a challenge. It becomes a challenge that it can. Then there is the Goldman's mixed model. All right, mixed model says that it is a mix of both personality trait as well as certain abilities, isn't it? So this is the dominant model that we have. Iske liye, sometimes it is represented by this. Ye bana hi lo. Regulation, recognizing emotions, recognition, this is self, and the other is social or society. नीचे दिख नहीं रहा होगा. So Goldman's model talks about, first is self-awareness. Once you have self-awareness, that is, you're aware of yourself, then you will be able to have what is called, you are aware of emotionally aware. You are emotionally aware. You will also have what is called realistic self-assessment. Very important. Realistic self-assessment. You'll also have a good self-confidence, or it is a source of self-confidence. Once you are self-aware, it helps in two things. It helps in two things. The other is social awareness. It cannot be that you are, and the other is self-regulation. So therefore, self-awareness is the starting point. You will have self-management, which means you will have better what is called self-control, adaptability. You will able to adapt. It is also the source of inner drive or achievement drive. Achievement drive, initiative. You are able to regulate achievement drive or initiative. Social awareness. It is marked with empathy. And everybody understands what is empathy. Empathy means the ability to put oneself in the shoes of others, which means that it is different from sympathy. इसको हम करेंगे separate question. Empathy simply means we are able to put ourselves in the shoes of others, which means that we are able to feel their pain as if it is our pain. It is different from sympathy, where you simply have a certain concern for the other person, feel along with pain at the sight of the other person's problem, but you do not feel his pain as once our own pain. Empathy is different, all right? The minute you have empathy, which means you are able to exactly understand his pain as if it is your own, and therefore crucial for service orientedness, service orientation. And with this social awareness and self-regulation, you have what is called relationship management. So that this helps in becoming what is called change catalyst. Change catalyst. Conflict management. Building also helps in conflict management. Helps in leadership. Teamwork. Teamwork. Write down a question. एक क्वेश्चन कर लेते हैं. Examine the reasons behind negative attitude towards police in India. Examine the reasons behind negative attitude towards police in India. What is our attitude towards police? Huh? So there is, if you analyze our attitude, if you see our attitude, एक question कर लेते हैं, our attitude towards police, then we say that it is generally we have a negative attitude. Means what is your assessment of the police? That it is high-handed, it is corrupt, then it apathetic, it lacks empathy with the people, it is often violent, it, for example, it caters to the rich and powerful, and it exploits the poor, isn't it? See, what are the several reasons for it? Why do we think like this? एक दो line लिख लो. See, it is not so much that only police has these challenges. The problem is that police is often the most visible aspect of the state. Police is the most visible aspect of the state. And think of the nature of its duties. One is that, of course, Indian police is what creation? It is a colonial creation. So therefore, as an agency, it has in its DNA, there has been elements of colonial suppression. Right? It was an agency of the colonial powers to suppress national movements and popular revolt, isn't it? That was why it was created in the first place. So there are certain challenges with respect to the police itself, as in there is a problem with respect to its genetic makeup, because the Indian police has inherited a lot of its colonial mentality from its colonial masters, colonial creators. That is one challenge. The other is that we also start seeing it as an element of, or an agency of suppression. Post-independence, those challenges, एक दो line लिख लो ऐसे, write down few lines. The police is most visible organ of the state. Police is the most visible organ of the state. Is the most visible organ of the state with exclusive monopoly over violence. With exclusive monopoly over violence or legal monopoly over violence. Next, it is colonial creation. It is the colonial creation used to suppress nationalist movement. Used to suppress nationalist movement. The gap between people and police has remained intact even after independence. The gap between people and police has remained intact. It was a colonial creation used to suppress nationalist movement. The gap between police and people have remained intact even after independence. Then, फिर कुछ उत्तर प्रदेश के लोग हैं. Most people feel that law is for general people, और हम लोग क्या हैं? अलग हैं. Right? Most people feel that law is for other people and not them. Therefore, they resent police enforcement of laws. Most people feel that law is for other people and not them. Therefore, resent police enforcement of laws. Wrong side में ड्राइविंग कर रहे हैं यूपी में. पुलिस वाला है रोका कि गलत साइड चढ़ा, वो सो ठीक है, तो बाकियों को पकड़ो, मेरी गाड़ी कैसे रोक दी तुमने. अब अलग वीडियो चल रहा है यूट्यूब पे. राइट? बाकी ये नियम कानून पुलिस किसके लिए है? बाकियों के लिए, हमारे लिए नहीं है. राइट? द नेक्स्ट, attitude of the press has been negative, only highlighting police. Attitude of press is negative, only highlighting police high-handedness or negligence. Then, next, high public interaction and scope of corruption. High public interaction and scope of corruption leads to public interaction and scope of corruption leads to corruption, leads to actual corruption, ranging from petty bribes, petty bribe, मतलब 10 रुपए 20 रुपए भी सब्जी वाले से ले लिया, ठीक है, ranging from petty bribes to graft in high offices, to graft मतलब corruption, bribe, graft in high offices. creates poor perception of police. Creates poor perception of police. Next. It is tasked with or given the task of controlling public disturbances. Public disturbances, where risk of public criticism, task of controlling public disturbances, where risk of public criticism and condemnation is high. And condemnation is high. निंदा करेंगे लोग इसकी. Where risk of public criticism and condemnation is high. It attracts unpopularity. It attracts unpopularity both. Attracts unpopularity both for using excessive force. For using excessive force or not using adequate force. Next, deficiencies of civil administration. Deficiencies of civil administration. Comma, failure of service agencies. Comma, failure of service agencies, such as electricity failure. Such as electricity failure. Poor health services. Electricity failure, poor health services such as absence of doctor, nurse, या फिर bed in hospital, public hospital. Absence of poor health services such as absence of doctor or nurse or even medical medicines से लेकर बेड गायब है अस्पताल में. डॉक्टर ने कहा नीचे सो जाओ, अब लोग प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. Poor health services, poor roads, poor roads, etc. are handed over to police. Are handed over to police when people protest against them. Are handed over to police when people protest against them. Isn't it? So what happens is, when there will be any deficiency, बिजली की खराबी हो गई हो, जिसमें पुलिस has no role to play, डॉक्टर नहीं है, नर्स नहीं है, बेड नहीं है, मेडिसिन नहीं है, people will protest. To meet those protesters, administration will not send a doctor. Who will they say? Send police. Then what will happen? Police is in a situation where it cannot solve the problem. So therefore, it will use high-handed measures to suppress the problem. And when that suppression happens, therefore, negative attitude towards the police will be perpetuated. एक question और लिख लो. What attitudes are responsible for corruption? What attitudes are responsible for corruption? What attitudes are responsible for corruption? Let us break this question. So, what is corruption? Write down in one line. Corruption is the misuse of public office for private gains. Corruption is the misuse of public office for private gains. एक फॉर्मूला लिख लो. करना नहीं है, फॉर्मूला जानना है. करप्शन इज इक्वल टू मोनोपोली प्लस डिस्क्रिशन माइनस अकाउंटेबिलिटी. करप्शन इज इक्वल टू मोनोपोली प्लस डिस्क्रिशन माइनस अकाउंटेबिलिटी. राइट, इसको थोड़ा अलग तरीके से करते हैं. लेट अस ब्रेक दिस डाउन. दिस what attitudes are responsible for corruption? Let us break it down into cognitive, affective and behavioral component. Make a table. Cognitive, affective, behavioral. Cognitive, under cognitive you write understanding of what constitutes corruption is limited. Understanding of what constitutes corruption is limited. For example, understanding of what constitutes corruption is limited. For example, petty bribes is not equal to corruption. You're not realizing that even 20 rupees given to a policeman is also an act of corruption, both by you and by him. So understanding of what constitutes corruption is limited. People sometimes don't realize that this may be corruption. Okay. Then example, for example, nepotism or preferential treatment. Nepotism is corruption. लिख दो, for example, nepotism is corruption, but preferential treatment is not. Nepotism, bhai bhatijawad, is corruption. But your friend has come for a government work and उसको सबको लाइन हटाकर तुमने उसको प्रायोरिटी ट्रीटमेंट दी, that is preferential treatment. So nepotism is corruption, but preferential treatment is not corruption. ठीक है? And then in cognitive component only, you write. And a bribe is sometimes seen as a reward. Bribe is sometimes seen as a reward for the extra effort that has been put. Bribe is seen as a reward. बहुत मेहनत किया है आपने. Bribe is sometimes seen as a reward for the extra effort that one has put. Seen as a reward for the extra effort that one has put. Then public work is not seen as a compulsory duty. Public work is not seen as a compulsory duty. Then next, in cognitive, conflict in taught values versus actual values of society. Conflict in taught values, जो पढ़ाया गया है कि ये values हैं. Such, these are taught values. Conflict in taught values versus actual values of society. Taught values versus actual values of society. Society सिखाएगा क्या? ईमानदारी, all these things. But appreciate actually में क्या करेगा क्या? उसके पास iPhone है, तुम्हारे पास iPhone XL होना चाहिए. Right? He has one car, you should have 4 cars. सादगी सिखा रहे हैं, लेकिन ऑफिसर्स कॉलोनी में बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत होती है कि फलाने एक्साइज डिपार्टमेंट वाले ने एक गाड़ी ली है, उसने मारुति ली है तो तुम्हें होंडा ही लेना है. अलग दिक्कत है. टॉट वैल्यूज आर वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम प्रैक्टिस्ड वैल्यूज. सादगी, सच्चाई, ईमानदारी, these are taught values. But what will happen is, the certain officer's wife has gotten a big jewelry. Now the society is saying कि उनकी jewelry बढ़िया है तो मेरे पास खराब है. Right? So there are often these, between what is society practices versus what is taught, there is a conflict. Next, write down in cognitive itself. Believe in fatalism and karma. Believe in fatalism and karma. Believe in fatalism and karma. In bracket you write, believe in fatalism and karma. In bracket you may write, God shall punish those with bad karma. God shall punish those with bad karma, or those who do bad karma. Belief in fatalism. Fatalism means fate में भरोसा करना. And karma, karm. In bracket you write, God shall punish those who do bad karma. Okay, leads to tolerance for corruption in this life. Leads to tolerance for corruption in this life. तुम कहोगे मैं वीडियो बनाता हूं, मम्मी कहेंगी छोड़ दो, भगवान उसको सजा देगा. In affective component you write, affective component, Second Administrative Reforms Commission or second ARC. ARC stands for Administrative Reforms Commission. We have had how many Administrative Reforms Commissions so far? 2. Administrative Reforms Commission, I don't think that the current government will set up an ARC. They have generally set up what? When they will set up a commission, then they will set NCRWC. What is NCRWC? Set up by National Commission to review the working of the Constitution. Administrative reforms इनको छोटा काम लगता है. ये administrative reforms NCRWC की रिपोर्ट में पहली लाइन रहेगी क्या? उसमें पहले पेज में लिखा रहेगा कि administrative reforms is not possible in the absence of constitutional reform. Therefore, what is our goal? To first review the working of the Constitution. So they have already set up an NCRWC and they were able to work on it, but then the government changed in 2004. In 2004, UPA came to power. 2004 was a unique year. Why? Because that time, see, if you read about how citizenship amendment acts have happened, they can clearly see that the prerogatives of what is called a liberal government versus a nationalist government. You will clearly see the citizenship acts. There will be 2004 to 2009 will be completely separate, 9 to 14. Then 14 changes will happen. It will completely based on which party is in power and what is the ideology of the party. 2004 NCRWC, they were expecting that we will implement something. Sometimes you will see that every time there will be a debate in the newspaper that certain government advertisement is showing preamble and the word secular is missing. So it will create a lot of furor. It is not actually a government prerogative. What happens is that the person who is supposed to design the ad, he will Google preamble. And then he will get a Purana wala preamble ka photo. And he will end up using that photo in the background in the government advertisement. And what will happen is, government advertisement has shown the preamble where the word secular is. They will not say socialist is also missing. They will focus on what? Secular is missing. And huge furor will be created every 6 months to 1 year. Government will say, bhai, data entry operator and graphic designer, I am changing every 6 months, but nothing is happening. वो भी वही Google करता है, उसको नहीं पता है कि amendment हुआ है, पुराना preamble डाल देते हैं. So that is also one problem you will face in the government. And you are tasked with making a government ad, you have delegated it to somebody else. That is why you are supposed to study so much for this exam. कि आपके signature से ad pass हुआ है, then you will be responsible. That graphic designer is not supposed to know old preamble and new preamble. All right. Write down. Second ARC says there is misplaced sympathy for the corrupt in society. Says there is misplaced sympathy. Within inverted commas, misplaced sympathy. What is misplaced sympathy? गलत जगह आपकी सहानुभूति है. There is misplaced sympathy for the corrupt. For example, activists reporting corruption. Activists who are reporting corruption, not respected in society. Activist, example, activist reporting corruption, not respected in society. Second example, if you can see, not respected in society. Second example, there is public sympathy. There is public sympathy for those awarded sentence for corruption. किसी को जेल होगी करप्शन से, अब पूरे एरिया में गम का माहौल छाया हुआ होगा कि देखिए 10 साल पहले किया सजा आज मिल रही है. Other example you can write, grand welcome by public. Grand welcome by public when corrupt politicians are let off. Grand welcome by public when corrupt politicians are let off. So 20 years back, yes, that would be the time, or around 18 years back, there was several news of Commonwealth Games scam. All right. If you see Delhi, there are so many flyovers. Those flyovers were built primarily during the Commonwealth Games. हमें लगा कि आसपास we are aspiring to be a global. That time the narrative was, right now we are on a good position. But 20 years back, what was the scene? The scene was that we were aspiring to be at least a regional player. That time the China rise had also not happened completely. It was the beginning of the rise of China. So we felt, that time Sheila Dikshit was the Chief Minister of Delhi. So what happened is we felt that Commonwealth Games are happening and then all the Commonwealth countries, people will come and a lot of foreigners will come. I don't think those many foreigners came, but then for that, we wanted to clean our house. For the first time, massive number of flyovers were built in Delhi to ensure that there are no traffic jams. Otherwise, foreigners will come to our country और क्या कहेंगे कि देखो it is an aspiring power और यहाँ पर 1.5 घंटे blue line bus में or in Delhi buses you are caught. So they also started other things such as separate track for buses. There was separate bus lane, CWG lane बना था उस समय, in which what was supposed to ply Commonwealth Games के लिए the buses would ply, but Delhi people being Delhi people, will they follow that line? They will drive in that line only क्योंकि इसमें speed से गाड़ी निकल रही है, right? Other problems, है ना? Then public welcome for letting of corrupt leaders. अभी 10 साल से सब कुछ शांत है ये सब, ठीक है? But generally what happens is whenever a corrupt politician is let off, you will see a maha grand welcome will happen. For example, Commonwealth Games में Mr. Suresh Kalmadi was one of the accused, and when he went back to Pune, I think, so the whole Pune that day, मतलब IT workers were thinking कि we are the real life of Pune, but then when he came to Pune, then whole city was traffic jam for the whole day to welcome him. 10,000 people had assembled to welcome him. Similarly, the Bihar Chief Minister, when he was let off, these things are now after the rise of social media and video camera. ये सब थोड़ा सा खत्म हो गया है because people will start making video कि देखो ये हमारा देश है, ऐसे ऐसे लोग कर रहे हैं. So that is now, those things are not happening now. All right. Then next you write. No, second ARC has told about misplaced sympathy. It will not give example why, because that person is from that party only. Okay, so it is second ARC is also, you can write as Virappa Moily Commission. Virappa Moily was the chairperson of this. Ineffective component, you can misplace sympathy for the corrupt. Okay, and then next you can write. Social respect for powerful and wealthy. Social respect for powerful and wealthy, irrespective of means social respect. Yeah, in affective only. Affective component. Social respect and prestige for powerful and wealthy, irrespective of means employed. Social respect for powerful and wealthy, irrespective of the means employed. चाहे कैसे भी he is gotten wealthy or he's become powerful, society will say he is such a successful person. So there is no condemnation. Then there is general disdain towards activists and noisemakers. General disdain towards activists and noisemakers. Then there is general dissatisfaction in government jobs with salaries, infrastructure, and promotion prospects. Next, there is less respect for honesty and integrity. There is less respect for honesty and integrity. Behavioral components. Behavioral components, you can say, widely prevalent practice of tip giving. Widely prevalent practice of tip giving. Tip दे दिया. / चाय पानी. / speed money. Practice of tip money / चाय पानी / speed money. Then paying lip service against corruption. Paying lip service against corruption. Paying lip service मतलब मुंह से बोल दिया कि खराब है. Against corruption. कौन कौन से दिन? 15 अगस्त, 26 जनवरी, ठीक है. Paying lip service against corruption on important occasions, but not imbibing those values. Next, overall consumerist and materialistic behavior. Overall consumerist and materialistic behavior. Makes case for corruption. Makes case for corruption. You can think of some measures. Let us think of 3 measures. Second ARC talks about an ethical framework. A legal framework. And third is institutional framework. ये 3 चैप्टर भी हैं. So ethical framework is extremely important. Focus on ethical values. For example, Gandhiji's talisman. Ethical framework is needed. There is need for code of conduct versus code of ethics. Yes, there is a code of ethics that is needed. Then Gandhi's 7 social sins. आगे करेंगे इसको. An ethical framework. It enjoins civil servants to practice austerity and simplicity. Simple रहो. With respect to legal framework, it has made certain suggestions. Legal framework में it has made certain suggestions. For example, automatic and voluntary. अब ये सब implement हो गया है. Disclosure of assets and interests. कुछ साल पहले की बात है. So कुछ न्यूज़ ऐसे गई selected बच्चों में कि so after selection, when you go for the FC foundation, then you have to register your assets, that what are assets you are having at the time of induction into service. So one of the ways how the government will check whether a person is indulging in corrupt practices or not is to check that what is his assets on the day of joining versus what is his assets on certain date. तो क्या हुआ कि अभी नहीं, it was the previous term. So what happened is कि रेवेन्यू सर्विस के कई सारे बच्चों ने सोचा कि हाँ, तो बहुत frivolously they ended up putting crores and crores of in their assets. So what happened is the chairperson, he had gone to meet them उनके पास when he got the files, then he got very angry, बड़ा नाराज हुए. इस पर चर्चा बन गया था कि how these people are, ठीक है. Then immediately a circular was sent that the department. So what happens is that time no verification is done. Whatever you say will be taken as true. So लोगों ने क्या किया कि चाचा मामा जिसकी भी नोन की जमीन है उसको बोला कि अपने में दिखा दिया यहाँ पर, ठीक है, in the hope of buying it in future from them or whatever be the case, right? उसके बाद डिपार्टमेंट सर्कुलर वेंट, देन एवरीबडी वाज, फिर बड़ी डांट पड़ी उनको, बुलाकर सबको बोला गया दिस इज हाउ आवर बैच इज. उसके बाद फिर सबने फिर दोबारा रीसबमिशन हुआ उनका एसेट्स का, ठीक है. तो ये सब चीज़ें भी बड़ी हो जाती हैं. ऑटोमेटिक एंड मैंडेटरी डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ, वॉलंटरी नहीं, मैंडेटरी डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ assets and interests. Then with respect to witness protection program, programs and laws for whom? For complainants of corruption cases. Then signing of integrity pact You are aware what is an integrity pact? Integrity pact is a document. Integrity pact is a document that is signed by both parties, generally, both parties, that is contract awarding party, जिसने contract दिया है, and the vendor. Contract awarding party and the vendor is a document signed by both parties, that is contract awarding party and the vendor who is going to service the contract. Okay. Where they agree to terminate the contract. Where they agree to terminate the contract if any cases of graft are reported. If any cases of graft are reported, they agree to terminate. के आगे कर दो auto terminate. So now you understand why integrity pact is so important. Let us say flooding has happened recently. So one idea after this, immediately lot of criticism will happen. And what will happen is we need to clean the drains of the city. So now, for example, the government will say that cleaning the city will cost, the government estimate will come, that cleaning the city drains will cost 200 crore in Delhi. Huge amount of contract is there. This is public money. So now what will happen is several companies or parties will be the vendors, such as Larsen and Toubro, or other vendors will be there. So they will be saying that you give us the money and we will clean the drains. That is what will happen, isn't it? So integrity pact is something, it is a tool of good governance, promoting transparency. Why? Because in this pact it is written that so let us say, for example, Larsen and Toubro or some company which is saying that I have expertise in cleaning the drains in Singapore. Also in Malaysia I have done this. It will need specialization. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि दो लोग को उतार दिया और सफाई कर देंगे. It's a huge project, so many drains and such a. So therefore you will need certain expertise. Now what may happen is that there will be vendors which will try to influence this contract process by saying that I will give a kickback to the mayor or the commissioner if I am awarded the contract. So therefore, in this integrity pact, what happens is they both sign that if any event, if it is found out that any bribe giving or bribe taking has happened, then the contract will be auto terminated. Now that is it is a part of the contract itself. So do you see that it will be extremely challenging for any vendor, because he knows that if 2 years or 3 years later I'm cleaning the drains, or let's say 6 months later, anyone reports that a bribe giving has happened, then what will happen? I will automatically lose the contract. The contract will be terminated immediately. So that is challenging for anyone. If you're reporting and it is found out, then it could be a very small level bribe. It could not be a very big bribe, maybe at a small level also. So the agency is very clear that nobody in my organization is paying a bribe to get anything done. It may often happen that sometimes the top leadership may be involved in bribe giving. Sometimes the top leadership may not be aware. But the local state authority may be asking a bribe, so to get the work done, to meet his performance, the lower staff may end up giving a bribe. For example, Tatas, they have a very clear policy. The Tatas were asked that why you did not why you are not into the airlines business. Then they said that we were very clear that we will never pay a single rupee will not pay a single bribe. So Tatas are very clear. When a contract is awarded to Tata, the government also knows that Tatas will not give, and the Tatas are also very clear that our reputation precedes us. Nobody will expect us to give bribe to any person, whether it is a bureaucrat or a minister. So they have a reputation. But where there is no preceding reputation, this integrity pact makes it very easy, isn't it? Everybody knows there is huge risk, so therefore better not to. And the company which is wanting to get the contract by paying bribes is also knowing that if tomorrow something happens, then the whole purpose of giving the bribe was to take the contract. And now I'll lose it, so therefore there will be no effort will be made. That is an integrity pact. Yes, so everything will stop. the contract is over, isn't it? You know, integrity pact signing. Then second ARC has also called for a repeal of Article 311. Article 311, what does it say? It provides constitutional protection to civil servants. What does the article say? Yes, no person, Article 311 says that no person shall be removed from his office except by an authority, yes, except an authority higher than the appointing, either by the appointing authority or higher authority. Okay? So how does it provide a lot of protection to civil servants? Yes, because civil servants, at least all India services and central services, see, all India services are actually they are appointed by the President of India, which means the appointment letter has the President. The central services end up being it is actually, central services are called central services because the appointment is technically not done by the President of India, it is done by the central government. But it is in effect, वहाँ भी President से ही appointment होता है. लेकिन all India services, the appointment itself is by the President of India. Central services में, it is by the central government, and then procedurally it may be done by the President. हाँ? तो प्रोसीजरली क्या होगा कि प्रेसिडेंट से कर देंगे, लेकिन उसका डिफाइनिंग नहीं, कल को हो सकता है अपॉइंटमेंट लेसर अथॉरिटी से हो जाए. फॉर एग्जांपल द डीओपीटी सेक्रेटरी में आल्सो मेक द अपॉइंटमेंट. ठीक है. हाँ, क्या? हाँ, तो यही है. इन्होंने कहा था कि remove the protection that is available to civil servants under Article 311, so that for that a legal. All right, then there is, they also said, so Virappa Moily committee का ही ये है. ठीक है. Then institutional framework जो propose हुआ था और हो चुका है. ठीक है. So that time it was proposed the institution of Lokpal and Lokayukt. What you will write? This was the proposed by second ARC. Now it has already happened. So you will write one word before it: strengthening the institution of Lokpal and Lokayukt. You can also argue for autonomy and political insulation. To what? Central investigating agencies such as the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate. Institutional framework for corruption has to be improved. Then strengthening, for example, CVCs, recommendations to be made what? Binding on the government. All right. So in next class, we'll finish emotional intelligence and some questions from Aptitude. And then we'll move to administrative ethics. Any questions or any other things that you want me to? The first is, no. So in this, what is, it has, ये Lokpal and Lokayukt, that time Lokpal and Lokayukt had not been there. Chalo, because we have 2 minutes left. What is the big problem with the Lokpal and Lokayukt? What was the whole debate? Lokpal and Lokayukt. Why was Mr. Anna Hazare protesting again, calling for Lokpal and Lokayukt? Yes, the whole debate in around 2010 was that whether the Prime Minister's office and the Chief Minister's office will be covered under the Lokpal and Lokayukt or not. And what did the Parliament want? So 2 things were there. What had happened is, just about 13 years from now, what was happening in India? India Against Corruption, a popular movement that was happening where? In Ram Leela grounds of New Delhi, spearheaded by somebody from Maharashtra. Whom? Anna Hazare. All right, so he said that this is assembly of Indians protesting against corruption. Why they were protesting? Because CWG had happened, Commonwealth Games scam had happened. The then CAG of India had flagged issues saying that there was a scam in the Commonwealth Games. Then there was also some reportage of loss of public revenue in the 2G spectrum auction as well as coal blocks allocation. The story is very different. Actually, it may have happened, there could have been graft, but the government was very clear. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh that time was very clear that it is a government policy. The CAG simply said that why was not 2G spectrum auctioned? And if it would have been auctioned, he gave a figure with some and then 0.0000. So newspapers had covered that. According to CAG 10000 करके इतने लाख करोड़ रुपए का गवर्नमेंट को नुकसान हुआ है. That was the presumptive loss, which means if it had been auctioned. The Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, he had a very clear thing. He said that if I have auctioned 2G, then I will not be. Then what will happen is the telecom player will have paid more, and to pay more they will recover. So then how will I tell them that do incoming free? That was the age when incoming was made free for the very first time. Millennials in the class परेशान हो रहे हैं incoming free क्या होती है. पहले मोबाइल फोन पर अभी आउटगोइंग के भी तो खैर उतने पैसे नहीं लगते, तो अनलिमिटेड ही है अब तो. But earlier you had to pay like 4 rupees per minute for incoming calls. And at the beginning around 2004 or something, the charges were 8 rupees or 9 rupees per minute for outgoing calls. That was then the government said that we will make incoming free. Then how will they make free? Then the telecom player, if they will charge too much license fee, then to recover the cost incoming cannot be free. So the Prime Minister said that. With respect to coal block allocation, the problem was very different. एक चीज समझ लो कैसे. The government wrote letters to the industrialists that please set up. So right now you're aware that we are having a problem with China. Why? Because of manufacturing base. China is a manufacturer and we are not. So what do we want? We want to become good in manufacturing. This is what we want. So 20 साल पहले भी government was concerned about manufacturing. So now that time the government thought that how will I do manufacturing? They wrote letter to Birlas and all the big industrialists that please set up manufacturing plant. We had started feeling the heat from China when companies such as Khetan and all, which जिसके पंखे होते हैं खेतान के, इनके पंखे होते हैं. So what they had started doing was Khetan was written, but they were imported from China and then Khetan label was printed and sold. So now the government started feeling that nobody wants to make in India. Government told the industries, please start manufacturing plant. Industries replied back that I will make an investment, I will take loan from the bank, I will set up a factory. I'm patient enough, I will recover the cost of the factory in 20 years. Manufacturing is expensive, you need capital for manufacturing. So, but I need only one assurance from government. One is that, okay, now, for example, in states such as UP, the minute you set up a factory, the minister will send some criminal elements to do some ugahi. And now he has to explain ki bhai, so those things, they say that it is the cost of doing business. We will deal with the local problem, we will deal. But what I want from the government is electricity. Today you are aware that we are saying that we have surplus electricity. Right now also we are not having surplus in essence. But that time the government said, dekho, we can take guarantee for other things, but we cannot guarantee electricity. But what I can give you instead is coal block, which is known as captive coal block. What is a captive coal block? Only you can do mining there. So if you are going to set up a plant, let us to manufacture bikes or to manufacture, for example, tube lights. Right now, these all tube lights are imported from China. They are cheaper, that is why they are imported. Not that they are imported from Europe or something like that. All right, they are cheap. So they said, okay, fine, we'll give cooperative. So what do? You take those coal mines, you do coal mining at a small scale, you burn coal, boil water, generate electricity, run a turbine, produce electricity and run your plant. So you're not dependent on the state electricity board for giving you bijli. So you will be independent and you will not, bijli kategi to you will not be worried. This was the whole plan. And for this purpose, among others, coal block allocation happened. Now there were some unscrupulous elements, but there were some good elements also. There were a lot of issues. What happened is some big industrialists who took a loan for 20 years from State Bank of India. But what happened is coal block was allocated to him, but green clearance was not given. Like coal ministry has given coal block. But environment, Jairam Ramesh was the environment minister, he did not give the clearance for mining activity on the coal block. And now you have taken 200 crore loan. Every year annual interest is 20 crore. 5 years, the loan is 300 crore. And 3 years, government has not given permission. So and then what happened is, Why did the government not give? One was activism of the environment ministry. The second challenge that time was activism of these agencies. So what was happening was that even if you did something, they would say that there has been bribe giving and bribe giving, which is why if you see community meet, yeah, so that is why when we're discussing that Gaurav sir was here, Gaurav rank 1. So he said that time H.C. Gupta sir, coal secretary, was put to jail. Everybody knew he was honest. But then when he was sent to jail, there was a lot of unhappiness in the civil service that we acted as per the government policy and we were sent to jail. So a lot of things happened, but yes, one consequence of it was policy paralysis in the government. From 9 to 14, no work really happened in the government because of activism of agencies. So in the central secretariat, काम नहीं होता था. But nobody was willing to sign a file because the minute you sign, somebody will say that a scam has happened. And if nobody says, then CAG will come and say that scam has happened. Isn't it? So वो समय की कहानी थी. ठीक है? So that is all for today's class. We'll again meet in Thursday for the next class.